if I had to sum everything up, I can't, what I would say is indescribable. It's like I was one way and now I am this way, right? And the only thing in between was him. It's the only thing in between.
So let's get comfortable. We are on take 3.
So my whole life I've always swung the pendulum from one extreme to the other, right? I could be very loving and then extremely aggressive, or super thoughtful and then completely careless. Either one at really any given time. And the only common denominator in all these situations was it was either 0 or 100. There was nothing in between. All in. Yeah. Except for when it came to my faith, though. Man, I kind of believed. I maybe sometimes thought I was kind of following him, or that he was kind of with me, and even that he was kind of real, right? But I had this relationship with God that basically boiled down to me negotiating with him. I put terms on our relationship, from inside of a jail cell, in an abandoned house, behind the wheel of a stolen vehicle, in the middle of a pursuit, before a court hearing. It always sounded a little something like, God, if you do this, you get me out of this, then I'll do this, I promise. And you know what? Most of the time he did exactly what I asked. And even still, I turned my back, broke my promise to him. Each time, it was harder and harder to ask these favors from him because of my guilt and shame. Like, I could only go back and confront him again and again and have any type of feeling to do it and say it again to him, At this point in time, I completely just stopped asking, turned all the way away. Things would happen to me, situations, and I just tell myself that, I deserved it. I beat myself down completely. At this point, my focus had just switched. I had just completely given up. I destroyed my life and chose to push that pendulum yet again to the extreme. I was 25 years old. I was in a federal prison serving a 5-year sentence, and I had given up. Considered myself useless. I was honestly content with being like a prisoner. Prison being a part of my life until the day that I died, and leaving my mother heartbroken. A couple years into my incarceration, I was on the phone with my brother, right? That's my dog. That's my brother. And we've been through everything. But we've also caused a lot of damage in each other's life. And I was on the phone with my brother, and he was strung out bad. He was in the street. And he was telling me he loved me. He was crying. He was saying, bro, I'm never going back to jail, bro. Never, And if you know what that means. He'd do anything to not go. That night I went back to my cell. And I opened up and I prayed with God. This time I wasn't negotiating with him. This time I was praying for somebody else outside of me. I asked God, I said, get him locked up, get him safe. At this time in prison, it was bad. It wasn't like normal prison. We were locked in our cell 23 hours a day. I mean, there was no way around it. And at the time, it was 23 and a half hours a day. And there was nobody I was talking to but this same guy that was in my vent, And this guy, we would have all these conversations together, and he would just, that's how we spent our time. And I didn't know this dude at all. And this morning I had woken up, and he was in my vent. He was yelling, hey, I'm leaving, right? And I'm still sleeping. I'm really irritated that he's even waking me up. But I'm like, okay, bye, And I go back to sleep. You put your little night thing back on and you just roll back over because it's not time to start the day yet, You got a whole day of sitting in there to do nothing. So it was like, I don't know. It was like a couple hours later, and I hear this guy, he's yelling down there in a tear. And he's yelling my name, my prison name, not my God-given name. He's yelling, hey, Dub, hey, boy, get up. And I'm like, looking up, I get up and take my little face mask off. Now I'm irritated. It's the second time I've woken up this morning, And somebody's going to have to pay for this, So that kind of attitude. And I look down there and I see my brother. There he was, man. He was just standing there. And he looked at me, he put both his arms out, and he smiled. And I smiled. And at this time, me and my brother have been in the street. We've been beefing hard too. There's been a lot of street stuff that had gone on in our life and it was like the moment we locked eyes, it was all set aside. And this guard that was working, he was the worst guard you could ever have, and you the type of guy you'd ask him for a favor, and just because you asked, he'd tell you no, And my brother said, hey, where do I go? Right, what cell? And the guard just pops this door next to me. And I couldn't believe him walking up those stairs. But the thing about it is that him walking up the stairs and being there, it didn't all hit me in full until he got inside that vent, that same toilet that I'd stand on, that I would talk to this guy I didn't even know from. Here was my brother now instead, but he told me, the first thing he said to me, bro, is it's done. It's over. We have to give it up. And I'd heard that message a million times, like somebody's, you need to change everything. You need to, surrender. All these terms have been thrown around to me for a long time, but it was his mouth, it was his lips, it was his words. It was just the circumstances just too surreal. Like it was the message I needed to hear. And where do you go from that? Where do you go? What do you do from that? You got to change everything, but what does change look like? What does surrendering look like? And we didn't have much, but we had everything we needed. We had the word, we had each other, we had our faith, and that's what we used. We studied the gospel, and we used Jesus to be our example, and he showed us through his word and through his goodness how to act, how to demonstrate, how to conduct yourself, and to watch my brother grow was this was my role model. This is my big brother. This is the person that I was in the street doing these things with, and to see him change, it was like I can do this. This is okay, And we just elevated each other. It was Father's Day, and he said, man, we're gonna do something today. We're gonna do what God wants us to do. I said, okay, that's every day, right? He said, yeah. He said, but we're gonna write our dad today. It had been 21 years since I had spoke to him. Been probably 17 since he had. And we reached out, and he came and he seen us. He wrote us back, and he came and laid eyes on us. And you know what? My relationship with him isn't perfect today, but I love him, and I forgave him. And that's what we're called to do, is love and forgive. I'm a father too, so I understand. I went away from my children. I'm no better. But it was through God's grace and God's love that I was able to love or forgive anybody else. And that was one of the biggest burdens that got lifted off me. Because if I can forgive him, I can forgive whoever, And we grew together like that. I look back in life as a whole, and I sit right here in front of you. I've been out of prison for 9 months. My brother, he still sits in prison. I miss him a lot. And I talk to him, and what I tell him is, I told him, bro, you will never, ever be able to grasp what God's going to do in your life right now. I spent nights, many nights, dreaming about what life would be like when I got home. There was a piece of me that was always still scared to death, not knowing what I was going to do when I got out, or what was going to happen. But I told myself that I could just lean on him, and I could just trust in him, and I could believe him, and I could walk next to him and beside him, and I could follow him, and things would be different. And I told myself that, it had to walk out in faith rather than fear. And I did. And he transformed my entire life, my heart. I told my brother, I said, bro, you'll never know how amazing your life will be sitting there, but just know in your heart that good things are coming. And that's what we have to look forward to. That doesn't mean that life is any easier, in a sense. It's just that he will do things in us that we can never do for ourselves. He's blessed me with the most amazing family, children, fiance, friends. I've got, I stayed here 9 months, and I've got a phone list full of men in my life that would be there for me in a heartbeat. None of this could be expected from where I was. And I'm very indebted to him, and I serve him first. I put him first before everything, before my relationship with anyone. And you know what? I feel his anointing. I feel his blessing. I know he's right here with us. I know he's right here with us. There's never a question. I don't ever have to question anymore. And as long as I don't have to question that, we can get through really anything. If I had to sum everything up, I can't, what I would say is indescribable. It's like I was one way, and now I am this way, right? And the only thing in between was him. It's the only thing in between.